Meghan Markle has shared the trailer for the second season of her Netflix series With Love, Meghan, after the Sussexes officially confirmed a deal with the streaming giant. Reilly Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au, and he's always across the latest celebrity headlines. Reilly, it is great to see you.
Great to be back.
Okay, so Meghan Markle has shared a bit of this trailer with Netflix for the second season of With Love, Meghan. Let's take a look.
I love the idea of spending time together and finding new ways to show people you care. Look at that.
Oh my gosh, I could do this every day.
Let's get creative and learn something new. Nicely done. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, so more cooking, a few more decorations. What's the reaction to this trailer been so far?
Yeah, well, this is sort of the first look at the second run of episodes of With Love, Meghan. I think there's a really important distinction to make here, just off the bat. They're saying it's a second season, new look Meghan, new look show. But realistically, this was filmed when she filmed the other episodes. Netflix my understanding is they split, they did a batch of episodes, they split it into two. We got the first run of episodes earlier this year, and then now here we are with the second run. But realistically, there won't be any kind of major tonal shift. I think that people are really reading into the trailer. Maybe the editing is a little bit more humble, a little bit more off the cuff, or attempting to be off the cuff. But I believe it's going to be more of the same. Having a look at the guest list, we've got Jay Shetty, Chrissy Teigen, sort of the celebrity set. I think it's going to be more of the same, but interesting to see if this is the start of a new chapter. I mean, I don't know. It looks pretty messy.
It does look pretty messy. Look, I don't know how well the first one went, how well that was really received. I think she was pretty mocked for some of the tips and tricks that she shared, and also the name that she gave herself, I think a new royal title. But we'll see how this is received, and that's a first look at the trailer. Thank you, Reilly. Now, Buckingham Palace has unveiled a full itinerary of royal engagements to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. How will the royal family be marking this?
Yeah, that's right. So Friday will be the official celebrations for VJ, or Victory in Japan Day, in the UK. This is a really important milestone, of course, for the country, for the Commonwealth, I think for the globe, the end of, obviously, the devastation of World War II. And it's something that's very close to King Charles's heart. He will be making an audio speech that will be released in the UK and throughout the Commonwealth tomorrow. The speech will be, I'm assuming, kind of a mix of tribute to the soldiers and the people that fought in World War II, but I also think that, knowing his previous speeches, I think he'll probably touch on, sadly, the fact that where we are in the world today, that there is war in Europe again, there is conflict in the Middle East, and I think that it is going to be quite a somber speech, frankly, but certainly in the King's sort of distinctive style. There will also be a lot of other commemorations across the UK. We'll have the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh in Scotland. The Duke and Duchess of Gloucester will also be meeting with veterans and surviving veterans. How amazing that 80 years later that there's still people here today to tell the tale. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a shift in terms of tone from the early celebrations we saw for VE Day, which was kind of more of a formal celebration with the balcony appearance. It will be nothing like that. Instead of having all the royals on the balcony, they'll be very much dispersed across the UK. So yeah, very memorable and very kind of important moment, I think, for King Charles on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Sarah Ferguson has been photographed with the controversial Hollywood actor Kevin Spacy at a recent gala in Italy. Now, Reilly, could the timing of this photo be any worse for the Duchess of York?
I don't think so. I think that this is just, on the heels of this Andrew Lowney book, one of the major themes, ironically, of the Andrew Lowney book was kind of looking at how Fergie is a notorious poor judge of character. She has such a way of just constantly putting herself in situations where she's compromising herself, her position, and also the monarchy. This is the last thing Buckingham Palace wants to see. I don't think they want to be bringing any more attention than they need to the Lowney book, because there's a lot of stuff in there that's quite frankly damning, and I think that this is terrible timing on many fronts. I think Fergie should be laying low. The fact that she's out at glitzy galas is one thing, but I think this really kind of speaks to the core issue with Andrew and Fergie, which I think is an overarching theme of their lives, is that they are mercenary and they are looking to live a lifestyle, and I think that they put themselves in these positions where they're vulnerable, and this is an example of that. With respect to Kevin Spacey, of course, he was accused of sexual misconduct by over a dozen men. None of that has eventuated in any convictions. He's a free man and obviously entitled to live his life. He's at this gala dinner in Italy. But I think from an optics point of view, a terrible decision by Fergie to pose for a photo with him.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Speaking of the Yorks, two people who have also been impacted by this new book are, of course, Andrew and Fergie's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. What have friends of the princesses said about the Lowney book?
So a source that's quite close to Beatrice and Eugenie has spoken out to the Daily Beast, basically saying that within their social circles, there's a lot of sympathy for Beatrice and Eugenie. I think that people look at them and think, well, at the end of the day, they are trying to just live their lives with dignity. They've always stood by their parents, but they've also really never put much of a foot wrong in the public life. I mean, they live very kind of discreet lives. And I think that there's a lot of sympathy. And the fact is that they are collateral damage. They are forever associated with their parents because of the actions, especially of Prince Andrew and to a lesser extent Fergie. And I think that because of that, that probably has impacted maybe some of their plans. You know, we often talk on this show about could William, you know, perhaps elevate Beatrice and Eugenie as working royals in future. I think that things like this book and the constant reminder of the scandals of Prince Andrew, I think that probably will be a factor in whether they are ever able to take on a front-facing role in the royal family. But as it stands, I think there's a lot of support for them within their circle, and I don't think there's a lot of kind of blame being placed on them, but how the public sees it is another story.
Now, Freedom of Information requests have revealed that many British institutions have declined to accept free portraits of King Charles. What do you make of this? Is this a potential sign of the King's current popularity?
Well, that seemed to be the conclusion. So these Freedom of Information requests were made by the Guardian newspaper. I will just say that the Guardian is a relatively pro-republic, anti-monarchy newspaper in general, a little bit more left-leaning. And that was sort of their conclusion. They revealed in these sort of requests that the portraits that were put out after the coronation, which can be hung in public places, you know, in hospitals, organisations, the Navy, all of those types of things, institutions in the UK that do display these kinds of things, they have an option of taking a free portrait. I think they're about £130 each. So not a cheap exercise when you think about the thousands of portraits that are being produced. But reportedly, some of these organisations, less than 20% of them were putting their hand up for the portrait of Charles. So, you know, I don't think it's as simple as, well, this is a sign that maybe the monarchy is waning or interest in the king is waning. I think that there is a lot of goodwill in the UK for the king. The Guardian is probably in their editorial interest looking to make that conclusion. But it's certainly a sign, I think, that, you know, how people are interacting with the monarchy is changing. I think that maybe 50 or 100 years ago, it was a portrait on a wall. But nowadays, when we think about it, you know, the royal family has social media. They're approachable and accessible in different ways. And I think this is more a sign of that than the decline of the monarchy.
Yeah, very interesting. Reilly Sullivan, thank you so much.
Thank you.